I'm 35 years old, working as HR director at mid-sized tech company, been in this position for about 3 years now. Running department company has about 200 employees, mostly men in engineering and tech roles, feel like it is my responsibility to create equitable workplace for everyone. When I first started, noticed a lot of problematic behavior from men, like how they would dominate meetings and interrupt female coworkers constantly, or how they would make jokes that created uncomfortable environment for women. Decided I needed to take strong stance against this behavior immediately. Started implementing policies to address gender inequality in the workplace here. Required all men to go through quarterly training on unconscious bias and privilege. Created reporting system where anyone could report microaggressions anonymously to me. Felt like he was finally making progress toward more equitable environment for whenever women came to me with complaints about male coworkers. It took seriously. Even if the complaints seemed minor, I would investigate and document everything thoroughly. Believed that believing women meant taking their word without questioning the details. Given started calling men into my office regularly to discuss their problematic behaviors. Sometime a woman reported that male coworker interrupted her during meeting twice. Case called him into my office and gave him formal warning about his behavior. He said he did not mean to interrupt. He was just excited about. Told him intention does not matter. Impact matters, and he made her uncomfortable. He looked confused and said he interrupts everyone when he is excited. Told him that it's still problematic because women are socialized to be quiet. He asked if he could get concrete examples of when he did. Told him the complainant wished to remain anonymous for her safety and comfort. He said, "How can I improve if I do not know what?" Told him he needs to be more aware of his behavior in meetings. He left my office looking frustrated, but I felt good about holding him. Started getting more and more complaints from women about various men here. One woman said she felt uncomfortable because male coworker asked about her weekend. Called him in and told him he needs to be more professional with. He said he was just making small talk with his coworker. Told him small talk can be form of harassment, depending on power dynamics. He said they are on same level. There is no power dynamic. Told him as a man he has inherent power over women in society. He said that does not make sense. We are both senior engineers. Told him he needs to educate himself on patriarchy and systemic power structures. Started noticing that men in office were becoming more quiet and withdrawn. They stopped making small talk and kept interactions purely professional and brief. Thought this was good sign that my policies were working to create. Men were finally being more careful about their behavior around women coworkers. Implemented new policy that all one-on-one meetings between men and women had to have door open and preferably third party present as witness. Some men complained this was excessive, but I said it protects everyone involved. Women appreciated the policy and felt safer in workplace because of it. One day a male employee came to me with complaint about female coworker. Said she had been making comments about his appearance that made him uncomfortable. Told him that women do not have systemic power to harass men. So he said, but she is his manager, so she does have power. Told him that is different because patriarchy means men cannot be victims of. He got frustrated and said, this is actual harassment happening to him now. Told him I will look into it, but his complaint seems less urgent. He left my office angry, and I made note of his defensive attitude. Started calling men into my office more frequently for various infractions reported, sometimes multiple men per week for things like tone or body language issues. Would document everything they said in these meetings for their permanent files here. Felt like I was creating an accountability system that had been missing before. One woman reported feeling unsafe because 3 male coworkers were talking near her. Called all 3 men in separately and questioned them about the conversation had. They all said they were discussing weekend plans. Nothing work-related. Told them gathering in groups can be intimidating to women in office space. One of them asked if they are not allowed to talk anymore. Told them they can talk, but need to be aware of how. Another asked, how are we supposed to know if someone feels intimidated? Told him that is exactly the problem. Men do not think about their impact. The third one said, this seems excessive for just having a conversation. Told him minimizing women's feelings is form of gaslighting and dismissive behavior here. He said he was not minimizing. he was asking for clarification on. Told him his defensiveness shows he is not taking this seriously enough. Clearly, started noticing the men in office were avoiding common areas during breaks. They would eat lunch at their desks instead of in break room. When I asked why, they said they did not want to make anyone told them that is good. They are being more conscious of their presence. Implemented another policy requiring men to take additional harassment training every month. The women only had to take it once a year, but some men complained this was discriminatory against them based on their gender. Told them they cannot be discriminated against because they hold all the power. One day I was walking through office and overheard two men talking quietly. Could not hear what they were saying, but they stopped when they called them both into my office to ask what they were discussing there. They said they were talking about a project they were working on. Told them I heard them stop talking when I walked by, which one of them said they stopped because they saw me and wanted. Told him that sounds like they were saying something they did not want. The other one said no. They just paused to acknowledge me walking by. Told them their story does not add up and I will be watching. They left looking at each other confused, and I made note of suspicious. Started paying more attention to men in office and their interactions with each. Felt like they were hiding something from me and being secretive about behaviors. Few weeks later, I noticed several men wearing small cameras clipped to shirts. Asked one of them what the camera was for, and he said personal. Told him company policy does not allow recording devices in the workplace here. He said he checked the handbook and there is no such policy. Told him I am implementing that policy right now, effective immediately today. He said too late, I already have 2 weeks of footage recorded. Feel my stomach drop. Hearing him say he has been recording for weeks. Asked him what he has been recording and why he is doing this. He said he is recording every interaction he has with me and others. Asked why he would do that, and he said for protection and documentation. Told him protection from what exactly? There is no threat to him here. He said protection from false accusations and misrepresented conversations with you. Feel angry that he is accusing me of misrepresenting things to people. Told him that is a serious accusation, and he better have evidence for. He says that is exactly why he has the camera for evidence. I've told him to take the camera off immediately or face disciplinary action. He said, no, I am keeping it on, and you cannot stop me. Told him I absolutely can stop him. I am HR director here. He said then I will work from home until you clarify the policy. Walks out of my office with camera still on recording everything I say. Storm over to another man I saw with camera on his shirt. Demand he remove it immediately and explain why he is wearing it. He says same reason as the other guy, we are documenting our interactions. Asked how many men are wearing these cameras around the office now. He says at least 15 of us started wearing them last week. Feel panic rising that 15 men are recording everything in the office. Asked why they all decided to do this at the same time. He says because we compared notes and realized you have been lying. Told him I have not been lying about anything to anyone here ever. He says you told me I raised my voice at female coworker. Says you told her I was yelling at her and being aggressive toward. But 3 people in the room said I spoke normally the entire time. Told him perception matters more than reality if she felt you were yelling. He says, but I was not yelling, and now it is in my file. Says you have been putting false information in our files for months. Told him those are not false. They are the complaints I received about. He says, but you never verified if the complaints were accurate or not. You just believed them automatically and documented them as facts in files. Told him I'm supposed to believe women when they come forward with. He says, even when multiple witnesses say it did not happen that way. Told him yes, because women have no reason to lie about these things. He pulls out his phone and shows me a video from camera. It is footage of me in meeting telling him he was aggressive. Then it cuts to the actual meeting where he was speaking completely calmly. Feel sick watching the video. Evidence contradicting what I told him happened. Told him that video does not show the full context of the situation. He says it shows exactly what happened and what you said happened different. Says this is why we are all wearing cameras now to protect ourselves. More men start coming forward, showing me footage from their cameras worn daily. Footage of me telling them they did things they have proof. They footage of me mischaracterizing their tone or words in meetings with witnesses there. Footage of me treating them differently than I treat female employees doing same. One man shows me footage of me laughing with female employee in hall. Then footage from same day of me scolding him for loitering in. He says we were both standing in same spot having similar conversation. Asks why I treated him like he was doing something wrong, but told him I do not have to explain my decision-making process. He says you do when you're treating people differently based on gender. Says we have dozens of examples of you applying rules differently to us. Told him context matters and every situation is different, so you cannot compare. He says we can compare when the situations are literally identical except gender. Another man shows me footage of meeting where a woman interrupted him 5 times. Says I was in that meeting and said nothing to her about. But when he interrupted once, I immediately called him out for it publicly. Told him women have been silenced for centuries, so we need to. He cuts me off and says, so you admit you treat us differently? Told him, yes, I treat you differently because men have had all advantages. He says treating people differently based on gender is discrimination regardless of reason. More and more men keep showing me camera footage of my behavior toward them. See myself on video saying things I do not remember saying to them. See myself treating men and women completely differently in identical situations clearly here. See myself putting things in files that the footage proves did not happen. One man has footage of me telling him he made sexual comment. The footage shows he said nothing, even remotely sexual, just normal work discussion. Confronted with the evidence, I say I must have misheard what he said. He says, you did not mishear. You made it up and put it. Told him I would never make something up. I was just doing job. He says your job is not to make false accusations against male employees. Says we have compiled all the footage and we are taking it. Asked, taking it where exactly? And he says to the CEO and legal field panic because I know what that footage shows about my behavior patterns. Told him that footage is taken without consent and cannot be used against. He says we checked with lawyer. It is legal to record in workplace. Says especially when we are documenting hostile work environment created by you. Told them, I created safe environment, not hostile one for everyone here. Another man says safe for who? Because we feel targeted every day. Says we cannot have normal conversations without being called in for questioning about. Says we cannot make jokes or small talk without being reported for harassment. Told them that is because you needed to learn how to behave appropriately. He says we were behaving appropriately. You were looking for problems that existed. Says the cameras prove you were misrepresenting situations and making things up completely. Told them I was protecting women in the workplace from your behavior shown. One man says the cameras show our behaviors were fine and professional. Always says they show your behavior was discriminatory and hostile toward us, specifically here. Another says we are filing formal complaint with CEO about your conduct now. Told them the CEO will side with me. I have been implementing his. He cuts me off and says we already met with CEO yesterday. Says we showed him hours of footage from all our cameras combined. Says he watched you lie about what we said and did repeatedly. Feel my heart sink, knowing the CEO has seen the evidence against me. Asked what the CEO said after watching all the footage shown there. He said the CEO is launching investigation into your conduct as HR. Says you are being placed on administrative leave effective immediately today here. Feel like the floor is dropping out from under me hearing this. Told them this is retaliation for me holding men accountable for behaviors. One says no. This is consequence for you, creating hostile work environment for another. Says you have been targeting us based on our gender for years. Says the cameras finally gave us the proof we needed to stop you. The CEO calls me into his office later that day to discuss situation. He has laptop open with what looks like hours of footage queued. Says he has been watching the footage the men provided all morning. Asks me to explain why I have been treating male employees this way. Told him I was creating equitable workplace by holding men accountable for privilege. He says the footage shows you were lying about what they said. Says you were putting false information in their permanent files knowingly and repeatedly. Told him I was believing women who came forward with complaints about them. He says some of the women have admitted their complaints were exaggerated. Now says when confronted with camera footage, they said they may have misunderstood, or says you never verified any complaints. You just believe them automatically, always here. Told him that is what we are supposed to do. Believe women always. He says we are supposed to investigate fairly, not just believe one side. Says you have created massive liability for this company with your actions taken. Says legal team is reviewing all the files you have created for accuracy. Told him those files are accurate based on the complaints I received from. He cuts me off and says the files are not accurate. The camera says we have video evidence contradicting at least 40 different disciplinary actions. You says some of these men have grounds to sue the company because of feel tears forming, realizing how bad this looks for me now with evidence. He says effective immediately. You are on administrative leave pending investigation completion here. Says you are not to contact any employees or access any company systems. Says HR will contact you about next steps after investigation is complete. Fully told him this is unfair. I was just trying to protect women. He says you were not protecting anyone. You were discriminating against men systematically. Says the camera footage makes that very clear to everyone who watches it. Says I never would have believed it without seeing the evidence myself, honestly. Hands me box with my personal items already packed from my office area. Security escorts me out of building while men watch from their desks silently. Can see the cameras on their shirt still recording my exit from building. Feel humiliated and angry that they set me up like this with cameras. Never thought they would actually record everything and use it against me. Weeks later, I received termination letter from company for discriminatory conduct shown clearly. They cite the camera footage as evidence of hostile work environment I created. Say they are reviewing all disciplinary actions I took against male employees there. Say they may reverse many of them based on video evidence contradicting files. Tried to apply for other HR positions, but word has gotten around. Everyone has heard about the camera footage and what it showed about me. No company wants to hire someone with that kind of documented behavior on record. Sit at home unemployed, realizing the cameras destroyed my entire career completely. Think about all the times I called men into my office for minor. All the times I believed complaints without verifying if they were accurate first. All the times I treated men differently than women for same exact behaviors. The cameras caught everything, and now I cannot deny what I did. Talked to lawyer about wrongful termination, but she says I have no case. Says the video evidence is damning and shows clear pattern of discrimination based. Says any jury would side with the company after watching the footage. Says I am lucky they are not pursuing charges against me. For what? Months later, I heard the company settled with several men I targeted unfairly. Apparently, they paid out significant amounts to avoid lawsuits from the documented discrimination. All those men got their files cleaned, and some got promotions after investigation. Meanwhile, I am unemployed and unhireable because of the camera footage existing. Think about how confident I was that I was doing the right thing. How I believed I was protecting women and creating equity in workplace here. Never considered that I might be wrong or that my actions were harmful. The camera showed me the truth I did not want to see about myself. Realize now that accountability goes both ways, not just for men I targeted. I should have verified complaints and treated everyone fairly regardless of gender always. I let my ideology blind me to my own discriminatory behavior toward others. My intentions were good, but the impact was creating hostile environment I denied. Sometimes thinking you are creating equity is really just discrimination with different target. Sometimes men wearing body cameras is only way to prove what you deny. Sometimes being held accountable means losing everything when evidence is clear and documented. And sometimes you collapse when cameras show exactly what you refused to see before.
If this confession kept you hooked, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We share powerful true stories every day that explore the complex realities of life.